Hello folks! With my first project out of the way, it's finally time to start a new one. On this one, we made a piece of street and a sidewalk using styrofoam and carving. The new diorama will be also a urban scene, but this time we are going to build a real cobblestone street with a real sidewalk. So, this video will be all about playing with plaster stones and tiles to achieve this. Let's grab some stones. For this architectural project we will use a round scene. There will be a piece of cobblestone road and a sidewalk. Two figures will be arguing to add a little of life and a story. I added a manhole cover to fill this part of the scene, and here there will be a building facade. I found photos of this lovely Polish city house from MiniArt online, but I only need the front part, so I decided that I'm going to use the photos for reference and build it from scratch. Wish me luck on this. Let me introduce you the real actors, Gennaro and Klaus. And you probably guessed it, late war Italy will be the location. I didn't do the pouring process because I had the pieces already made, and YouTube is full of good videos about that. I have some silicone molds from Diorama debris. Those molds are top class for stuff like this. Go and check out their site. We will use cobblestone pieces, sidewalk edges and pavement tiles. Don't look at the colors. I was experimenting with color added to the plaster, but I found this useless at the end. For the plaster I use Herculite number 2, but I think that any plaster will be just fine. I draw and printed the actual size of the sidewalk and the road. Actually I made those circles 1 mm wider to have some stuff to sand at the end. I marked the road part to avoid confusion. Then I glued the design on 1 mm balsa with sticky glue. I only cut it out the sides and left the front and the back intact. Then I nailed the balsa to the cutting mat to make it flat. I added a straight piece of balsa to the front as a guide. I carefully cut it and peeled away the paper to get straight to the balsa surface. And now the fun part begins. PVA glue was used to glue the edge pieces. Just apply some glue on the pieces and place them against the guide. Always leave the first and the last piece longer over the edge. Try to choose different lengths to do some variation. Now it was time to even out the heights of the tiles with the edge. I used scrap pieces of balsa and discovered that I need 4 mm of height difference. So, 2 pieces of 2 mm balsa were glued to the surface. I applied some PVA on the front edge and used CA for the big surface. Now we don't need the front piece anymore. And the sides were also cutted using the bottom piece as a guide. Now was time to trim the side pieces. Put the plaster against the ground and gently cut them with the fine saw. Some sanding at the end, and this is it. Tiles time. This time I applied PVA on the balsa and put the tiles on. Be careful with the amount of glue. There must be enough so you can move the tile in place for a few seconds, but not too much. Always check that you are going straight. You must be precise, but not too much. Those stonework were not perfect, and you must place a piece a little off from time to time to achieve realism. Another tip. If you want a working brush, always put it in water and then dry it with paper when you finish to apply the glue. After 40 minutes of work, the last tile is going in place. Not bad at all. I used medium CA to glue the end pieces to achieve a stronger bond for the trimming process. I even ensured the bond from below with extra thin CA. Again, my fine saw was used to gently cut the overhanging pieces. The plaster must be firmly laying against the ground. And again, a good sanding treatment. I cut it away the back balsa edge, and voila! Our sidewalk is done. For the base of the road I decided to use kappa plates. It is that thick foam plate covered with paper. Again, I glued the printed paper to the plate. Then I carefully cut out the road section. The paper cover should be removed to avoid possible problems with peeling later. The best way is to soak it with water and let it stay there for about 10 minutes. Then we can take away the paper more easily. If it is still not going down, repeat the process with water. I used the mini art manhole cover, but it was too high, so we have to cut it. Use a marker to trace the cutting line. Just put something under the marker or under the piece to get the right height, and gently move the piece around. The majority of the plastic was removed with a hobby blade, and the final thickness was reached with sanding. See? Much better. We will be cutting this cover, so I used medium CA to glue it properly. Just to be sure, I also reinforced the bond with extra thin CA. Our figures will be placed something like this, so I thought that the cover will be great to fill this empty area of the scene. I pressed it into the foam to leave the mark of the position. A great feature of this foam is that CA don't melt the upper part of it, but be careful, it melts the core inside. And our cover is ready to be cutted. I cutted the cover with the saw. I also had those little cobbles in the drawer, so I thought, why not make this cover stand out a little bit? The gluing procedure was the same as for the tiles. Another non-planned idea. Let's make a rain ditch. But the ditch must be lower than the street. So, I carefully cut it out a section of foam. Attention! Here the core foam is open. So I used PVA to glue the piece because CA would melt it. I controlled the heights and discovered that I made the ditch cut too deep. This was fixed with 2 layers of kitchen paper and some PVA tint with water. And here I am, happy as a child, playing with the cobbles again. I chose this pattern to make things more interesting. Now was time for the street cobbles. Those stoneworks usually are not perpendicular to the sidewalk, so I nailed a straight piece of balsa for the first row at an angle. When the first row is finished, carefully take the balsa away and be quick because PVA will glue it fast. You should put on all the pieces that can be mounted without cutting. And then the worst part. Measure, cut, remeasure, recut, fit, and you must do this for all the missing pieces. But hey, you will be rewarded at the end, trust me. If the end pieces are glued properly with CA, you can use old pillars to roughly cut them away. At the end, elevate the piece from the ground and trim it to size with sanding. And here we have it. I'm very happy, but something is not right. Just a second. Voila! Now we are talking. Some Tamiya spray primer was applied. And here it is. I hope you like the results. It can get more real as this in my opinion. And I also find out that is not much slower than the carving method. In the next episode, we will be scratch building the front of the house, and I'm both excited and scared of that moment. In the meantime, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Facebook, like, dislike, comment, do whatever you want to help me grow this channel. Stay tuned.